Swim school. I've got to know the origin. So, what made you start this? How did this whole Hudson Valley Swim come to be?
This actually started as an idea in my backyard. I live in New York. Obviously, it's a seasonal location. And so I would bring an instructor in for my kids and some of the neighborhood kids. And we would, you know, they all took to the water very well. And the problem was, come the end of August, what do you do with them? So we looked around for an indoor program, and there was one about 15 miles away, had terrible ratings, and the instructor that came in was just awesome. So we just decided, why don't we try to find a pool and launch our own business? There's got to be some demand for it, and so we did that back in 2003. We looked around, and it was hard finding a pool at first, and maintaining that relationship. So we were at one location, we changed locations. We ended up settling on a location in Newburgh, New York, and that was at a Gold's Gym, which we're still at today. So that was about 18 years ago, and we have a great relationship with them, and since then we've expanded to other locations as well. But the original idea for the swim school was really to promote swim lessons in the community, but we didn't have the mission that we do today. Initially, it's something that we grew as we became smarter about the industry and the need for swim lessons, and started finding out about some of the statistics around drownings, especially in children ages 4 and under. But it's not really just in those ages, but for it is adults, and it is kids 12 and under, and so forth. There's certain communities that are underserved. Some of the African American communities, the percentage of proficient swimmers is really low. Special needs communities, that's also a big problem.
So tell me how the mission started and what did it evolve to then?
So, it started as a business. We saw opportunity, and we took it, and it started to grow, and we started seeing, demand build. But, probably about 10 years ago is really when my eyes started opening up. And that was a result of some of the horror stories that I hear from some of the families that came to us. There were families where a few people had died in backyard parties at the same party. We've even had adults that had come to us with a 50-year fear of the water due to a drowning incident that they had encountered themselves, and they were just terrified of the water. And just remember that just because you don't die from drowning doesn't mean you're out of the water. I mean, there's 4,000 drownings every year in the United States, but there's another 8,000. Those are fatal drownings. There's another 8,000 near fatal drownings. And there are long-term effects, either physical or even emotional. But there are very, physical effects, brain damage, respiratory issues, and things like that. And then, of course, the phobias that people develop over time as a result of that.
You've been doing this quite a long time now. You said it's over 20 years now. Congratulations. And, I understand you have 8 corporate locations. You have 6 franchise locations. I want to ask you, because I know there are other swim schools out there, and there's even other swim school franchises out there. I understand your model is a little bit different. Would you share with us what makes Hudson Valley different?
Well, first, everybody's in business for the same reason. All the swim schools are in business for the same reason. And so every one of those brands should be commended for the mission that they're on, because it's similar. I'd say 3 categories of swim schools. There's the ones that build out a facility.
Okay.
That's obviously very expensive, and time to market is long. Plus the operational costs, and hence the profitability. High operational costs, lower profitability. So they're the build out guys. There's the seasonal guys, the ones that go from pool to pool and teach lessons in your backyard. That's very seasonal. Obviously, some areas of the country, there's more swim season than others.
Right.
That's also, it's hard to get a lot of lessons in when you're traveling all over the county, and because of all the travel time and so forth. And plus, you're also more dependent on the weather. Um, so our model is a pool rental model. There's a few franchises out there that also do something similar. Um, basically we look at obtaining underutilized pools in fitness facilities, community centers, schools, hotels, etc. And they're typically, these facilities are paying to heat it, paying to maintain the chemicals, often the lifeguards and so forth, and they're empty.
Sure.
So this provides, a good business opportunity to those facilities to bring in a rental income to offset a lot of those costs, or make money in a lot of cases. And it also helps them offer a service to their community and to their membership, to have this as an additional feature, along with sports training and aerobics and things like that. They also now have at their location, helps them differentiate from other facilities in that they also have swim lessons there. So that's really good. Now our program itself is unique. It's a program we designed ourselves over 20 years. So it's not an off-the-shelf American Red Cross program. It's not a program you get from the U.S. Swim School Association. We look to those organizations. They do a great job. We took the best of all of them, USA Swimming as well, and then we combine that with our own experience. What works, what doesn't work. We add some fun into the curriculum so that kids want to come back. It's not a chore for them. And because it could be a very dry, very exhausting kind of a experience for a kid. But if you make it fun, they want to come back. They want to see their favorite instructor. They develop a bond. Our program, also, our instructors are very, very experienced. We're not hiring rookies. We're hiring very experienced instructors that know they've been teaching 5, 10, 15 years. They're career aquatics people, and we then train them on our program. One of the byproducts of that is all of our instructors can teach all the levels. So some swim schools will say, hey, you move from a beginner to an intermediate, you go from Miss Susie to Miss Michelle, and the kids develop a bond with their instructor. And very often they'll move from one swim school to the next, until they develop that bond, and then they want to stay there. But if they have to move when they move up a level, that's counterproductive for them. So we all our instructors teach all the levels. We also do competitive levels. We do special needs classes, etc. So that's also a differentiator for us. And then lastly, we focus on customer service. We're a premium brand. People are paying a lot of money for the swim lessons. You got to give them the service that goes with it, and that goes all the way from the instructors in the water, all the way to the phone calls that they're making and the emails that they're sending and so forth. We give them a good experience there as well. So we have a very well-rounded program.
That's great.
And we have territory available. We're an emerging, and so we have a ton of territory available. I would think a lot of the other franchise swim schools have a lot of the prime markets already spoken for.
Right. Well, you had been doing this for about 19 years before you launched your franchise, and I'm curious on how you started, why you decided franchising was right for you. What were some of the factors that you contemplated? And I say this also because I think about our audience is sometimes people who are thinking of franchising their concept. So I want them to kind of get into the mind of Jeff to hear what are some of the things that you thought about, that you weighed and said, should I keep I've been successful for 19 years. Maybe I could just keep doing this corporate owned location. But what ultimately prompted you to franchise?
Well, for the first thing that I would suggest to anybody considering it is to make sure that they're running their own corporate store or stores, so that they have the experience and the know-how. I have seen some brands that came up with a concept and they want to franchise it immediately. Great. I don't subscribe to that methodology, because I just think you have to have the experience. You have to have the operational experience so that you could tell somebody else how to operate. So in our case, we've operated for a number of years, and we started adding more corporate locations. And what I found was I could turn one up in a couple of months, and be fully operational. I had the whole marketing sauce figured out, and then I would turn the next one up, and it was easy. I won't say easy. It was easy enough to do. And I got to a point where, I felt I could duplicate that over and over and help somebody else do that as well. The important thing is for us, you don't have to be the aquatics person. You hire those out. All right. And so, I'm a business person. And, I've never taught swimming lessons. I was a lifeguard, when I was a teenager, and that's about it. My wife's not a aquatics person either, but we're business people, and she handles the customer service side. I handle the whole startup and back end operations, and that whole combination worked very well. And we felt that we were able to teach others how to do that. Mm-hmm. And not only that, my background is in business process automation. And so, I have an engineering background. I've been in industry for a long time. I've got patents on improving business processes and things like that. And what I started looking at was, how do I make it simple for Frank, who knows nothing about this business, to start up? And I looked at all the pain points that somebody would get, anywhere from finding the appropriate insurance to how do you do the marketing? How do I get my chart of accounts together? How do I do the bookkeeping, et cetera, et cetera? And I packaged it all up in a business in a box, so that basically, you come to us and we do all the training. We align you with all of our business partners, for insurance and so forth. You just basically fill out an intake form, give them your tax ID, and they'll produce a big insurance policy for you. So all these things are handled for you. You just really have to work hard and execute on some of the marketing initiatives that we set up.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.